Monday, everyone. This is Julie HR, and today is February the 24th, 2025. And I'm so pleased that you've joined us today. Today, we'll be going over weekly HR news, trends, and also key compliance dates. I'm super excited you're here, so let's get started. It is a beautiful Monday. Hope everyone has had a great weekend. I can't believe, but this is our 10th weekly update. And as mentioned, I'll be going over key HR news, trends, and compliance. As we look at what we're going to be going over today, I want to start off with a quote. An employee's motivation is a direct result of the sum of interactions with his or her manager. And as HR professionals, we need to keep that in mind. We need to continuously provide our managers with support, resources, and tools to assist them as they lead their teams and employees within our organization. And as HR professionals, that should be one of our key goals each and every day, is to help our managers. So I wanted to just start off with that quote. Our topics, last week's recap, we're going to go over that. We're going to look at some of the upcoming compliance dates, employee engagement updates. We're going to talk about our featured template, and actually our featured template is going to be tying into our quote, which involves manager training. And I cannot say enough things about manager training and the importance, whether they're a new manager, a middle manager, or a manager that has been there a long time within the organization. It's very important to keep managers trained and up to date in this day and age. With that, let's go on to last week's recap. I know a lot has gone on since last week, and number one, I want to say I'm very proud of each and every one of you and all that you're doing within your organization. I know there's a lot of changes going on around in various organizations, and as HR professionals, I just want to let you know I'm proud of you and everything you do each and every day. All the fires you put out, all the hats you wear, the organization cannot do it without you. You may not hear thank you enough, so I'm here to say thank you. Okay, with last week's recap, we went over the compliance key dates. And of course, it's still on our radar, the H-1B visa registrations for fiscal 2026. They're due on March. You can start putting them in, on March the 7th. We also looked at the new administration and the executive orders, and we're going to be doing that again today quickly. The equal opportunity issues, the immigration, diversity, equity, inclusion, and AI. So those executive orders will be revisiting. Last week, we also spoke about employee engagement, and we spoke about a continuous feedback culture. As mentioned, many organizations now use frequent pulse surveys, real-time feedback tools, and regular one-on-ones. And you can see this manager one-on-one meeting agenda right here. We went over it last week. It's one of my top sellers within my Etsy store. So be sure to check that out. Also, last week, we discussed some of the upcoming minimum wage increases and also some other changes that are going on in the states. And we'll be going through that again. We also went over ChatGPT for HR, and we went over enhancing current job descriptions and also utilizing job descriptions to create interview questions, both situational and behavioral. And moving forward, what I have noted is that GPT for HR, I'm going to do that as a separate video. It won't be incorporated into my weekly videos. I'm going to do it as a total separate video and series. So stay tuned for those. And also last week, our feature template was the individual development plan, as you can see right there. And also it's in my Etsy store. And this particular individual development plan within the attachments, it also has it filled out in its entirety to help you as an HR professional and assist you in filling out individual development plans for your employees. Upcoming compliance dates. As you can see, we're almost into March. As mentioned, the H-1B visa registrations for fiscal 2026, Friday the 7th, you can begin that. We also have some of the key dates. You can see the ACA forms paper filing deadline. I'm sure most of you have already done this and have already completed this. Also, file form 1099 miscellaneous due and file form 8027. March 1st, form M1 filing deadline, and March 2nd, OSHA form 300A injury filing due. So go ahead and start looking at March, and we will just keep that on your radar each and every week. As we look at upcoming state developments and the implementation dates, we've got, you see Minnesota establishes independent contractor tests. We have Santa Fe, New Mexico, minimum wage. Santa Fe, once again, minimum wage. New York enacts workplace violence prevention requirements for retail. We've been talking about that on March the 4th. Alabama lowers information return electronic filing threshold. Ohio extends military leave protections to U.S. Space Force. Michigan requires veterans benefits and services poster. And Ohio pay statement requirement takes effect. Now, if I move this, it may take us off, but we will go right back to where we were. There we go. Missouri paid sick leave, employer notice, and posting requirements begin. So I'm only showing you through April the 15th. And also please note that this is also in my Etsy store. Okay, as we look at the executive orders, we've gone over these probably for the past 8 weeks. And we have equal employment right here. I actually just put a lot of them together. Defending women from gender ideology, extremism, and restoring biological truth to the federal government was signed on the 20th. It recognizes only 2 sexes, declares gender ideology. Right now, this particular executive order has directed the Attorney General Pam Bondi to issue guidance regarding single-sex spaces. I know that there's a lot in the courts right now regarding this, so we're just going to have to stay tuned with regards to this. Immigration-related executive orders signed on Inauguration Day. It enhances enforcement at the U.S.-Mexican border. Also increases security screening for all foreign nationals, imposes limitations on birthright citizenship with at least one order currently blocked by a temporary restraining order. Yes, there are some court cases that are being brought, and the judges are holding back on those. So know that there's a lot that's in the courts right now, okay? So all of these executive orders have not gone through and whatnot. Okay, so we just have to stay tuned, whether it's on SHRM or whatnot, Department of Labor, it's all out there, but we have to stay informed. Okay, ending radical and wasteful government, DEI programs, and preferencing DEI. terminates all federal DEI mandates, policies, programs, and preferences. I know a lot of you who work in the federal government, you're working on that to ensure that the DEI and all that is removed from your communications and within any of your types of documents and whatnot. And you're probably also working with your attorneys. But as far as those that are in the private sector, you're just going to have to wait on that to see what comes out. As mentioned with executive orders are passed down where Pam Bondi, for example, with the Department of Justice, there'll be individuals within that administration who will be explaining a little bit more about what it means for the private employers. But right now, we just have to keep these things on our radar. Of course, AI, removing barriers to American leadership. This was something that was signed in the first day. It includes revoking a previous President Biden executive order on AI. And we're just going to have to stay up to date. Basically, this allows for federal agencies to suspend, revise, or revoke existing AI policies and directives that may hinder American AI. So that is where we are on the executive order. So just stay tuned and also work with your employment attorneys and lawyers. Okay, moving right along, everyone. I'm going to take a look at employee engagement focus. And we are still in February, and the theme is celebrating connections. And so on the 28th, I want you to go ahead and start thinking Random Acts of Kindness Day. There are things you can do within your organization that mean so much to your employees and to your managers. So as HR leaders, I want you to really take the time and think about what you can do February 28th on this Random Acts of Kindness Day, because there's a lot going on in our world in this day. So let's think hard and let's rise above and think of some great ideas to implement on that particular day. As we look at March's theme, we see it's Employee Appreciation Month. I also want to make note that this employee engagement calendar, it can be found within my Etsy store. So be sure to go and check it out. I have a brand new template, and we'll be looking at that in just a minute. As far as employee engagement initiatives, as we look at February reminders and March reminders, it brings up some employee engagement initiatives that you may or may not have in your organization, such as, does your organization have an employee newsletter? If you don't, now is the time. Recognition is key, and it really enhances employee engagement. When employees see their name in a newsletter, whether they're Employee of the Month, whether they're in a particular committee, whether it's their birthday or their anniversary, it means so much. So take the time, and if you have the bandwidth, try your best and get out a newsletter each and every month. It is so very special. I'm also mentioning, I created a little employee bulletin board within Canva, and the suggestion box. A suggestion box, an employee suggestion box, and gathering employee feedback is key. Employees want to know that they are heard. And you providing, and I just kind of created this, employee suggestions. Make a suggestion. This is also a little template within my Etsy store where you have suggestion forms just like this, suggestions. We are listening. The employee would write the suggestion, the name and the date, and then they could put it in the suggestion box that's close to your office or close to the employee and bulletin board. And the employee bulletin board is something that employees, I've worked within manufacturing organizations, and the employee bulletin board was something employees looked at every single day. If you're able to put it beside a time clock or a water fountain or something, it can be so powerful. It can provide employees with information on the payroll calendar, on nominating a new employee star. It can inform employees about the employee news, safety, or perhaps open positions. And some of the best individuals to help you when you have open positions are your own employees. So you may want to consider, and I always try to give great ideas to you, doing a referral bonus of sorts within your organization. So there's the employee bulletin board. So lots to look at for employee engagement focus. Make sure you're hitting on all cylinders. You want to keep your employees engaged. You want to be communicating with them, and you want to be communicating with all of the different generations. And with that being said, we're going to take a look at this next. Our featured template. And this template I just completed yesterday, and I worked on it late until the early morning. It's called Managing a Multi-Generational Workforce. And it is a manager training, but it could also serve as a training for, HR leaders. There are 7 key lessons. And there's also a chart that goes over, if you look right here, generational labels, characteristics, and values. You have the traditionalists, and it gives the dates that they were born. Now, if I were you, I would not exactly ask employees, hey, when were you born? You can pretty much pick up on it or whatnot. Baby boomers, when they were born, Gen X's, millennials, and then Gen Z. And you can see other names of the particular workforce levels, also the characteristics, and also the values. So you can provide your managers, and as mentioned, let's go back to that quote, you've got to give your managers those keys to unlock tools that provide them valuable knowledge to grow their employees, because employees are impacted by their managers. So giving your managers this particular managing a multi-generational workforce will be very valuable. They'll be able to see, okay, this employee fits in as a Gen X. Okay, they're a little more self-reliant. I guess you could say I kind of fall in somewhere between the Gen X and millennials, somewhere in here. But I can tell you, yes, I am pretty much self-reliant. I have that entrepreneurial spirit, and I am tech savvy, and I do like to work on my own at times. So it's so important to understand the different generations in the workforce. And you can see right here, the different lessons. There are 7 lessons, and you can see each lesson right here where there is a description about the lesson, the importance, a question for the manager, and then also there's a manager-only activity, practice, or skill, and answers and notes. You want the managers to come together, perhaps like in a manager meeting or whatnot, and for them to do that amongst their peers, amongst each other. You don't want the manager to do this particular practice or skill with an employee. You want managers to work with other managers, because I'll tell you what, when you get them together, they can share their ideas about how they're dealing with the baby boomers, the Generation X, millennials. It's very clear to see what type of, employees there are within the organization. You can pretty much pick up on them. If you just talk to them when they've graduated, you can pretty much figure out, how long they've been in the workforce, where they fit. But do not ask them, don't have the managers ask them when their birthday is. That's just probably something that does not need to happen. This is an amazing featured template, and I was super excited to finish it late last night. So it's posted in my Etsy store. So I hope everyone will check it out. I think it's really going to help a lot of the managers understand how to deal with the different types of individuals within the workforce, and it also gives great ideas on how maybe Generation Z and the baby boomers can work together, maybe through a mentoring program. These 7 lessons are very, very valuable. So that's the featured template for the week. So I want to thank you so very much. We'll just go on to the next one. And it's basically, as mentioned, I'm so very proud of all of you through the week, and I know there's a lot going on in this world, and you know that you are a steady hand and a steady voice within an organization that's may or may be going through a lot. So I want to ensure that you subscribe and hit the bell notifications, and be sure to listen to my weekly update on Monday. I try to get it up before 7 a.m., but sometimes, especially when I'm on vacation, I may be up at the lake, and sometimes the Wi-Fi is out. So today's was probably a little later than it usually is. So thank you for your patience on that as I take a little bit of a break away from HR for the next day or so, but I will be answering any kind of messages. I'm always on, and I'm always here for each and every one of my HR professionals that I care so much about, and I want to see you succeed within your role. So that being said, I hope everyone has a great week. I hope you had a great Monday, and you go into the rest of the week with confidence, control, and take a look at my store and see if there's anything that can enhance your workforce. I thank you so much, and have a great and blessed day.